Sport24 editor Garen Lamley and chief writer Rob Howing join us in studio for our Monday morning chat as we look at the big scores and stories making the sporting headlines. Gents, good morning. Thank you very much for coming in today. A big sporting day today, I believe. Two announcements, new Orlando Pirates coach and confirmation of the Springbok coach. Maybe there's a surprise or two there, who knows. But over the weekend, the Proteas juggernaut marching on with a nail-biter in Hamilton. Not the best conditions, of course. Andile Phehlukwayo, the talk of the town. Bola Andile Phehlukwayo, now we can call him an all-rounder.
Very much so. He was superb. I thought when he took to the crease, South Africa's chances were fading fast. Or put it this way, I think we'd sort of receded to about 40%. The Kiwis were feeling pretty chipper about things. The pitch was turning quite violently for the second innings of that match. As AB de Villiers said, it was the conditions were about as difficult as he's experienced for a one-day international. And of course, he's played in a lot of places on some pretty dodgy tracks. So it gives you some sort of idea of what it was like. So hats off to the Proteas for actually getting across the line. They've now got to 12 consecutive ODI wins, which equals their own record and that of Pakistan in second place in history, those three teams. But Australia still way on top, 21 consecutive wins. So a few more still to be achieved if the Proteas want to get to that ridiculous tally by Ricky Ponting's Australian side of 2003. But let's not worry too much about that for the moment. Let's just worry about the fact that, or celebrate the fact that South Africa are playing so well. I'm very pleased that they actually had one of those tense finishes, because I think they needed it. We're not too far away from the Champions Trophy, and we've had a few quite soft wins in the last few months, if you think about it, especially coming off the Sri Lanka series where we demolished them 5-0. I don't think there was a close finish among them. So it was good that South Africa were taken right to the wire and got home with literally one ball to spare when AB de Villiers played that really cool, calculated straight drive for four. But Andile Phehlukwayo, as his sort of supporting factor, absolutely immense. I thought his temperament was just unbelievable. He hit two really vital sixes at a time when the South African scoring rate was just beginning to sort of flag a little bit. And he just sort of oozed calmness. He didn't seem flustered at all by the task ahead of him. And as you say,
has he done similar things with the bat at domestic level?
He has indeed. A lot of local KZN people have been talking a lot about the exploits he's got up to for the Dolphins. So, and he's always been compared to this kind of Lance Klusener as a sort of all-rounder. His bowling has certain similarities, that sort of skiddy pace that he generates. And of course, we know that Zulu was a sort of ace finisher for the Proteas, and now Phehlukwayo definitely sort of starting to develop. He's obviously got a few rough edges still lots to prove, but the early signs are magnificent. I mean, he's only 20 years old. This was his 11th ODI. And so to get them across the line in a unbroken half-century partnership, I think he put on 54 with AB and actually dominated, in runs terms, actually dominated the partnership, which tells you just how sort of confident and assertive he was. So that's another great box to tick for the future. Another great, potentially very good all-rounder coming to the fore.
Garen, in their current form, the Proteas, obviously, the one-day side are looking sublime. Hard to see anyone really sort of beating them at this rate. Are they peaking too early ahead of the Champions Trophy? I know we get nervous ahead of and around ICC tournaments.
Absolutely. I mean, New Zealand aren't a bad side. I can still see them winning at least one, maybe even two of these remaining 4 ODIs. So it's certainly not going to be a cakewalk. I'd be very surprised if South Africa got all the way to that 21 record mark of Australia that Rob mentioned. There's nothing. Don't take anything away from 12. That's a fantastic achievement in itself. This game, the last game this weekend, was very close. Rain affected never really helps. I think New Zealand having to bat first, been asked to bat first by South Africa, it doesn't ever help to bat in these reduced games. It just became sort of like closer to a 2020 than an actual 50 over ODI. So, but they came back nicely at the end. It looked like South Africa were coasting to victory with Quinton de Kock up front scoring. I think it was 69 runs, but they fought back admirably. They almost got there in the end, but the heroics of Phehlukwayo and AB got us across the line. But I wouldn't be surprised, as I said, to see us lose at least one or two of these remaining games. We could still win the ODI series.
Well, AB even said, they're only human; they'll probably lose one.
Absolutely. I mean, and
tempting fate like that.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you can play well and still lose. You can just come up against one player in form that has a great 10-over spell, or hits a quick fire 100 even, and that's unfortunately you done in that series. But talking about peaking too soon, you always want to carry momentum into one of these big ICC tournaments. South Africa obviously don't have a great record in these ICC tournaments. I think when we get there, everyone's going to forget what we've done in the past and just look at our past ICC record rather than the streak that we were on. So, in England, at least we're not going to the subcontinent, which I think, we would have struggled on a little bit more. A lot of our players have played county cricket. They know the conditions well in England. We're certainly going to be one of the favourites no matter what. It'll be a shock if we don't make the semi-finals at the very least, and then you never really know what happens in these knockout games. The fortune is going to go our way at some point, and we are going to win one of these tournaments. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was one of these. All the subcontinent teams out of their element. Australia, not a great ODI side at the moment. If we've knocked over New Zealand, it could be England even as hosts. That might be one of the favourites going into that tournament. So nothing wrong with an England-South Africa final, I don't think at all.